So first of all, let's see if there are any questions that you have before we, get into today's session. Yesterday we discussed a few things, and there were a lot of good questions. Any other questions that you want to get clarified before we proceed? Assume there are no questions. Yeah, go
Prem,
ahead.
I have only one small question, maybe a little small. So, could you please elaborate infrastructure as a service and platform as a service? Little difference, and the software as a service. Three things. Little elaborate.
Okay. So infrastructure as a service, right? So which means that you are going to get only the underlying infrastructure hardware. Okay, so you go and get a server. That server will not have anything in it. Okay, so you will have to go and install everything right from the operating system, or it can come with an operating system and you can just go ahead and install your records of Python. I mean, if your runtime is going to be Python, install the Python runtime. If it is Node.js, install the Node.js runtime. Okay, so that is infrastructure. You can install anything on that. They give you just the hardware. Okay, so that is infrastructure as a service. You just pay for the infrastructure, get it, do whatever you want on top of that. Okay, platform as a service means you get something on the infrastructure. You get some connectivity with your infrastructure and things like that. Okay, for example, if you just take a server, and if you get a server that comes pre-installed with Python, okay, then it's a platform as a service. You have a platform to build on. Okay, and if you go with a server that comes with Windows operating system, and it comes with the Microsoft products already installed on it. Okay, that is software as a service. So they provide you the software and everything. So you will have a machine where your Microsoft products are already installed. So you will just go and use that. You will not be installing Microsoft. You will not be, you will be anyway paying for the license of Microsoft product, but it comes along with you, like buying a laptop. Okay, laptop comes with Microsoft things installed if you are purchasing like that, right? Or if you are just buying a hardware and you will install the operating system, then that is infrastructure only. Okay, so that is the difference.
Thanks, Prem.
Good. Any other questions? Okay, so I will go and and explain about a few things before that we should do before we get started into exploring the services. Okay, stop me if I'm not giving you any information that I may be missing in the flow. Okay, because I don't have a PPT and all. I'm just going to go through the AWS console and other things, how to register and do it. Okay, so I will start my screen share. So today we are going to see, get into AWS completely. From today's everything is going to be AWS. Okay. So first we need to register for Amazon Web Services, and we need to sign up for an account. Okay. So account is nothing but like signing up for your Gmail account, signing up for your any platform you go and you will sign up, right? So same way you will have to do it for AWS as well. So there is a sign up form that you will have, and just go ahead and click on that. Uh, Here it will say create an AWS account, and it says AWS provides a free tier. Okay, and we will know about the free tier shortly, but here is where you need to go and create your free account. Anybody who's actually whether you are going to use it or not, whether you will be actually developing anything or not, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and create one, and that is how you can explore. You can see what we are talking about. You can see what options are available under each service. There is a lot of documentation and a lot of things that you will only know if you go into the console and see. Otherwise, just looking at the presentation I'll be giving, or hearing what I'm saying, you may not be able to relate those things. You will be able to relate, but you will forget. But if you go ahead and explore that by yourself, looking at each and every option, what it is, and how to, how it is actually going to impact that service, what are the different nuances, how is the pricing, what are the options they are giving on selecting a particular product, uh, how this product is connected to, I mean, this service is connected to another service. All these things you will get to know by just exploring that a little bit. You will not be spending any money if you are doing it carefully. There are situations where you will have to be careful. For example, if you are running a server, right? If you are purchasing a server, there is free tier available, but after the free tier, it will be charged. So if you are not going to use it, you will have to shut it down. Okay, I'll tell you where to find all those things, and how you can be vigilant on the cost that will be incurred when you are using these services. Thumb rule is, if you are not using something immediately, especially the compute resources, or especially something that is you will know if it is paid or not upfront when you are creating itself. So you should go ahead and delete it, terminate it, so that you will not incur any cost. Or you can always reach out to me and ask if you are not sure whether I should keep it or should I delete it. We can, explain that. So here you just have to give a root user email ID where you can provide your normal existing email ID. If you have used one before and it is not active, probably you should use a different one. So every time, every new user gets a 12 months of free tier. So even if you have purchased one already and have not used it for a long time, don't worry. Create a new email ID and use that email ID to create a new account. And you can give any account name, and it's a verification process. Once you verify that, it is actually going to ask you for a credit card details, because you will be charged for the resources that you will be using. So upfront you have to give it. You will not be charged anything upfront. It will be just validated, and on a monthly basis you will get a bill. So based on the resources that you are going to use, you will get a monthly bill, and you can see the breakdown of everything. And you can also see what things are active, open, whether I need to shut down anything or not. Those things you can see. Okay. So I have already an account, so I'll not be going into this. I suggest, after this call, each one of you go ahead and create your own AWS account. Okay. So I will go to my I have created an account, and I have a few services running. Uh, this is how the home console will look like. Okay, so if you have used a few things, that will appear here. Otherwise, it will be just like a dashboard. You can see, in this the top right. So this is where you will be. By default, you will be in US East 1. You can change that if you want to change your location. Which, what it means is, any resources that you are going to create will be served from this data center. I mean, the data center that they have in US East. All over the world they have multiple data centers. So you can see Asia Pacific is available, Europe is available, Canada, and you can see the 12 regions that are not enabled for this account. Maybe that will be enabled if I'm in a different location or so. Okay, so that is how it is. So you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to change it to anything else. You just leave it as it is, whatever is there, and you can work from there itself. Um, and here you will see any applications that are running. There are no applications I have. And it will give you some health information about if any instances are running. You will see all that, your cost, usage, all these things will be available. So don't worry about all these things for now. So we will first see what are the different categories we have in AWS. We are going to go through most of them. if not all. And even within those categories, we will be going through some of the critical services, because there are too many services, not all are required. We will be going through the most critical and important ones that will be coming in the exam. Okay. uh, okay, so services. So if you click on this 9 boxes that you have menu, you will get the service type. These are all the categories. What you see on this left hand side is a category, and if you click one category, you will get another list here. This is a, each one is a separate service. Okay, each one is a separate service. We will be talking about them. So you can see by this itself, you can see how many categories are there, and within each category how many applications are there, services are there. As I said, we don't worry, you will not be asked about everything. You are not expected to know everything. You are just expected to know the basic category setup and the important services from them. Okay, for example, if you take compute is the core, right? Compute means anything that you use for your processing. So the main thing is servers. So we were talking about servers, right? So in AWS world, servers are called EC2 instances. Okay. So the EC2 means Elastic Cloud Container, I believe. Yeah. So that will be virtual servers you will be using. So this is the core thing in compute. And another thing is Lambda function, which is a serverless compute. So these are the two things that we may be mostly talking about. The other things are kind of, you may be using, you may not be using. It is not something that everybody will be using. As you need, you will be using that, but we will know something about what it is and when it should be used and what are the use cases that these services can be used. Okay, so in all these categories there will be main core services that we will go in detail, and other things we will just know about what it is so that we can remember and answer accordingly. Okay, so compute is the main thing, and databases. So databases, there are different types of databases for different use cases. That is why you see so many things. We will discuss about, and what use case, what database should be used, all those things. Those will be very interesting. And there are developer tools, many developer tools that are available. um, and IoT, for IoT specific things you have a lot of services. Machine learning, you have a lot of services. Recently they have introduced something called Amazon Bedrock, which I think we spoke last week when I was there. Bedrock is a solution from AWS where you can go ahead and try out different open source generative AI LLMs available, including their own LLM called Titan, and there are many other things to create. There is something called what do you call it? SageMaker. SageMaker is something where you can create and build, train, and deploy machine learning models. So whoever has have idea about machine learning, how to create a model, you might know. I mean, what is building, training, and deploying. So SageMaker provides you the platform to do all these things. And Textract is kind of a service that where you can extract the text from any document. So it is just like an API, you will use it. Okay, so there are many things like that. And networking and content delivery, this is another main thing where we will be. This is if compute is your computer, or the core thing where where the computation is happening, where the programs are running. Network is the thing that is surrounding the computer, right? It is network is the one that is connecting everything, connecting you with the world. So all the security aspects of your application or your servers, that will be governed by the network management, and how your content is delivered is content delivery. So these are all main, most of these things are really important, and we will talk about them. And storage, as we know, there are different types of files that will be we will be using in our applications. So for different types of files and different use cases, you have different storage services available. We will be talking about them. Then what other important things? Containers, so micro services and other things, right? So if you want to deploy your application as a containerized solution, these things will come into play. And especially for people, developers and the DevOps people, this is very important. um, and most important thing is cost management. I mean, security, identity, and compliance. This is another important thing. So, networking will give you the way to connect, but how are you going to secure your application, your services? All these things are, dealt in the security section. uh, right from, IAM is identity access manager, where you will create users and other things. So this is the first thing that we will be talking about in our series, because this is the starting point. Then we will be going to other services. Directory services, like similar to Active Directory, which is like, user management tool for Microsoft. Here they have this managed directory service as well, all related to security, authorization, and other things. There are many services. I think at least half of them we will be going in, detail and discussing. And what more? Billing. Where is billing? Cost management. Okay. I think cost management is not service coming here. It is a separate management thing that we will see. That you will see that here. We can search billing. So billing, you have billing and cost management. This is the most important thing if you are a root user. And here is where we will go ahead and see what are the services that we are using, how is our cost coming, and many things. So it will list you, give a breakdown of service by service, breakdown of how you are performing, what resources you are using, uh, how you can control your cost, are there any anomalies that you should be aware of, so that you can control, you can forecast your billing. You can, if lot of anything that is related to the cost that you will find here. There is a separate section that we will be going through to just monitor this. To start with, I mean, this is the section you need to see, to there is a cost explorer here. Let's see, that will give you an idea about what are the services that are running, and where your money is going. uh, so you can come here, and you can check that, so that you are aware of. See, for me in December, these many services I used, but zero cost, because all of them are serverless, and they have a free trial available. So I'm not charged for anything. If I'm using anything that is chargeable, then that will come here. Okay. Yeah. And going to uh, any questions until this point. So here is where you can find all these services. You can just click on that. So if you want to know something about these things, right, you can click on those services, and there will be documentation available about that in the pages. So I am in the IAM page. So you can see the different things that I can do here, and they will be having documentation about the IAM, the recent updates and all. uh, Additional information, you see the IAM documentation, best practices, All these things are really important. You don't have to go through everything because it will be too much time consuming. That is why we are having this call. All important key items we will consolidate and discuss. But if you are really into AWS and you are managing these things, then this is where you will be often coming and referring to your day-to-day work. If you are doing a kind of professional certification, which is the highest level, then I mean, this documentation you have to read completely to ensure you are not missing anything that is specific to very specific information will be available here. So going through this will be very important. So let's just see what is available. It will have a very detailed information about what is IAM. For each service, they have very good documentation. So do not just depend on any you know uh, course alone. So you have to ensure at least you are going through some of them, because when you read something about this, then you will get a lot of questions and then you will get a lot of clarity about what you have understood. Otherwise you may be imagining this is how it works by the way I tell, but once you go through and see what it is actually written, then you will be able to connect things and you will be able to appreciate your learning. Okay. And they have recently introduced Amazon Q, which is kind of AI driven uh, support. So you can ask any question here, and I think it will AI will answer based on the documentation. So you don't have to find where the answer to your question is there in this documentation. Probably, I think Amazon Q will give you that information. I'm not sure. I've not used it. Okay. See, they have list of things given here. Unknown caller. Okay. Thank you. I think it's a preview only. Okay. Any questions until this point? Okay. So then we will talk about free tier. So when we say free tier, there are different types of free tiers. So they say free trials. You can use some services as a trial service, or there is something for 12 months free. This is like one important thing is EC2 instances, that is servers. You can buy an EC2 instance, run it for 1 year for free. You will not be charged at all. So many services like that are 12 months free, and there is something always free. So you don't have to worry for using up to a certain limit. It's going to be always free. So we will see that. And they have also given you product wise information, what is free for what. Let's see compute. The compute, these, for EC2 instances, they say 12 months free, 750 hours per month. So if you are going beyond 750, then you will be charged on an hourly basis after that. But this is to give you some bandwidth so that you can use your EC2 instances to build your applications, do a dry run, check how it is working, all these things. Okay. So 750 hours is a good amount of time, uh, and it is every month for 12 months. And there are different varieties or different categories of servers available. So this is the smallest one. The micro is the smallest one. They give you the smallest server that they have free. Okay. So Lambda, we'll be talking about that. This is like serverless, function. So you can run a small function in a serverless mode. Just give the code and it will execute. You can get the response, and you can do that for 1 million requests. So 1 million times in a month you can call AWS Lambda functions. It's always free, not just 12 months. So assume that you are going to have a function running that will uh, get a user details and store it in a database, right? So if that is the only function that will be happening, so in a month 1 million user registrations can be done if that is the only function you are doing, and it's always free. So you can, imagine, if you are able to use this in an effective way, you can reduce a lot in your compute capacity, because you can that is where you need to decide whether, which activity I should do in serverless, which one I should not do, and I should go for a server. So that is, you will know that when you go through all the sessions and understand about the things. Okay. And like this, there are free and always free trial. For example, Amazon SageMaker is free for 2 months. So this is for machine learning thing, so you can endlessly do it for 2 months. I mean, 250 hours per month, I believe. Yeah, 250 hours per month for 2 months you can try. That should be good enough to run any model that you create, train it, and experiment. And there are unlimited things always free. This code whisperer is a service for code validation and all. Many things are available. Okay. Any questions here?
Nothing, Prem.
Okay. Okay. If that is the case, I think we can jump into IAM, which will be our first service to check. Um, okay. We'll go into IAM. And we will do a hands-on probably tomorrow on this, but we will talk about IAM today. Uh, this is the first service or first application that we will be seeing in AWS, Identity Access Management. So once you are in, you have registered and you have come into AWS console, you should the first thing that you should do is go into the IAM dashboard. Okay. And you are the root user there. Okay. When you are a root user, set up MFA for yourself. Do not just live with passwords, because I have a very bad experience where I did not have MFA. I think I told this before. I was in a train. I got an email saying, your account has been hacked, and uh, so many hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, 1,700 or something was being utilized. So AWS actually detected that there is something wrong with that, and immediately they have put the account on hold, and eventually it got terminated. I did not pay anything because they understood, they have found out it is it's hacked. But this is what can happen if somebody can hack your AWS account, right? They can go ahead and run anything. So if they start running a machine learning job, then it's going to consume thousands of. It's going to use resources. So if they are start using your resources, it's going to be charged. So you automatically your cost will be shooting up. So you have to be very, very careful. Enable MFA. Okay. Yeah. So that is the first one. Then here is where we will control access to AWS account. So if you are, let's say you are starting your small company, where you are going to have everything run by AWS, and you need to give access to your employees, right? So you will add them as users, and you will have to give permissions for your users to use services. You cannot allow that, okay, anybody can run anything. You cannot just say that, right? You have to do a permission boundary that, okay, this person can only use this particular service. Up to this point, there are a lot of things that you can provision. So IAM provides you ways to do that. Not only for users, you will be running services from your AWS account. Say, for example, there is one service called EC2 instance, which is server. There is another service called RDS, which is for database. Correct? So when you are running an EC2 instance, that EC2 instance may need to write a record into your database, which is in the RDS. RDS is relational database system. So for this EC2 instance, which is a server, to write into the database, EC2 instance needs to have access to write into the database. So everything here is called a resource. So if EC2 instance is a resource, database is a resource, and whoever wants to, or whichever is trying to do something on other, is called a you know um, I mean what is that? Principal. Yeah. So principal. Here, for example, if EC2 instance is actually going to write into the database, a database is a resource, EC2 instance is a principal. This principal can have access to write in the resource called your database. So this is the main principle. So you have to provision the permissions for all these things. You should be controlling that to a granular level possible. For example, there will be 10 databases, 10 different databases running, and you have 10 different servers running, dealing with these databases. All are different applications, right? Your EC2 instance should have access to only server or only database which it should access. uh, Another EC2 instance may just need a read access, so you should provide only read access, right? Another EC2 instance may not need any access, so you should ensure there is no access to that, so that your security of your resources is closely managed. Okay. So and every resource will have a name that is called ARN, Amazon resource name. So you will see that in so you can see for example, let's go here. I have two users. So you see an ARN listed here. So this is a user I created, and it has a ARN. So that ID goes by this. So wherever you want to refer to a particular resource, you will be using this name as a reference. So this is very important. Okay. So coming to the concepts of IAM. So what is IAM? AWS Identity and Access Management provides fine-grained access control across all of AWS. With IAM, you can specify who can access which service and resource and under which condition. We can also specify conditions. For example, this EC2 instance can access this database only under the condition of a particular operation, or only if it is coming, only if a request is coming from this IP address and things like that. Okay, so you can put any condition to govern your access management. With IAM policies, you manage permissions to your workforce and systems to ensure least privilege permission. That's what I said. If something should not have access to other thing, you should not give access. You should ensure it is having a least privilege possible. Okay. Any questions on this? Okay. So what is IAM
So
actually doing?
one minute. So
Yes.
resource you're talking is, so database is a resource.
Yes.
EC2 is a resource.
EC2 is a resource. So let's say you are a user, right? So you will be added as a user here. So you have to go and install something on the server. So EC2 instance, that is a resource. Here you are the principal, EC2 instance is the resource. Okay, you will get access to that resource. You will install your code. Okay, then that resource EC2 instance will access another service called database. So now the EC2 instance becomes a principal because it is going to access that. Okay, even though it is a resource, it is also a principal. Database is the resource here. So
Okay,
user can be a principal, another service or resource can also be a principal.
so database will not be in our EC2, right? So it will work as a separate service. That's what you're saying.
Correct. Database is a separate service. So that will be running on a different server.
That server is we don't have control on it. We have only control on the database.
We have control on the server that the databases will be running. That we will see when we configure the databases. You can few things you have control, few things you don't have. So they provide all options.
So again, that server is not an EC2, right?
That will be an EC2. But
Okay.
they will be managing that. Okay, you don't manage that EC2. You are
Okay.
not going to go to that EC2 instance to do anything.
Okay.
Okay, so when they are providing you, say you can use this RDS or database, they are already provisioning that for you. This is like a service.
Understood.
Okay, and the normal EC2 instance, that is only giving you the hardware. If you are getting the database provisioned on that, then that becomes a platform, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So AWS Identity and Access Management apply fine-grained permissions to resources, services, and resources. So you can decide who can access what. The who can be any workload or AWS users or SSO users. Uh, Permission is like whether they can allow or they are denied. Basically you can set up this person is allowed to access this or this person is denied to access this. Both way you can set it. What is like the resources within your AWS organization. Okay, and these are the four main principles. So user, group, role, and policy. So who is a user? Anybody who is a person is a user. So we will be creating user IDs here. For example, in my application, in my account, I have created these two users that I will specifically use for accessing a few services. Okay, so if let's say I want to add somebody to this account so that they can come and access my console, do anything. So I will create a user here. I will go ahead and give the user ID and password. Um, so provide user access to AWS Management Console. So if I click this, then it will provide access to that user to the console itself. They can log into the AWS console and see all these things. If I don't do that, it is only a user who can access specific resources through API keys. So it is like you are creating a virtual user who can be you can use it as a user ID and password for accessing outside. I mean using the AWS SDKs and other things. Okay, that user will not have access to the console. But if you specify this and say there are two options they are providing, one is go to the identity center or create a user here itself. We can create it here itself. It will just create and provide a password. You can create a password and share it. So then that user will be able to log in. Okay, so that is a user. So creating a user doesn't mean they have access. Even though I say they will have access to the management console, if I am not giving any access, they will not be able to see any service from here. For example, let's say I will auto generate. Let's proceed the next one. demo user. I'll put a demo user. And it is saying, do you want to add this user to a group, or you want to copy any permission or attach a policy directly. I'll say attach a policy directly, and if I don't attach anything, I'll come to the policy. This user is not going to get any access to any of the services. Okay, so we'll create user. So it is giving me this is the username, and it tells me a password, so I can copy this password, give it to the user. User can log in through this console. They should use this link to actually come into this. So let's go and do that. Copy here. And it filled the account ID, uh, demo user, password, put that, sign in. So it'll ask me to, reset the password. Let me do that. Okay. So I'm inside. Let's see if I can do anything. Let us go to compute, C2 instance. See, it all gives me API error, which means that I cannot do anything. I don't get access to anything. This, since I am, I'm not given any access, all these things will be telling I cannot fetch this information for you. If I try to launch an instance, then also I will be, at the end, I will be said this user does not have any access to do this. So that is how you should manage your users. You should not be providing any access unless it is needed. Okay. So if you are creating like this, ensure that you download it as a CSV, because next time it will not be shown. Okay. Then groups is nothing but you can add, create multiple users and connect to groups. And why we need groups is, basically, the next two things will justify that. A role is something similar to a user, but kind of, it tells you, let's say I create a role saying that lambda read only user. Okay. So if I create a role and provide permission to that role, saying that this role, whoever is having this role, will be able to access lambda functions and read that, or they will not be able to modify that. All the users, it just says the role. Okay, it is not assigned to anybody. It is just a role. I can assign this role to a user or a group. So if I assign this role to a group, anybody who is added to that group will automatically assume, will get that role. Okay. Or I can directly assign that to a user as well. Okay, so if I assign a role to the user, only that user will be having that role. So this is useful when you are going to use one specific user to do multiple different things. Okay, for example, there will be situations like you have a user ID and AP access key. Okay, so this is supposed to perform one particular operation in one service. Okay, in that service, let's say it is going to update a database, or it is going to generate a report, or it is going to run a machine learning job. Okay, so you have only one user ID. the same user you want to use for all, but you don't want to give permission for this user to do this all the time. Okay, so you can control it like you will create three different roles. First role will allow the user to perform operations in the Lambda functions. Second role will allow the user to do something on the database operations. Third role will allow the user to do machine learning things. So if that is how it is, you can assign role one when the user is doing something and remove that role, and then to do the other operation you can assign the second role, use the same user to do the operation and remove that role, and assign the third one to do the third operation. So this way you can control with the same user, just assigning different roles, you will be able to control. And last is the policy. Policy is the least level. Okay, policy is a subset of a role. Multiple policies combined, you can create a role. Multiple roles combined, you can assign to users or groups. Okay, so what is a policy? Policy just tells you, this particular person or principal is allowed to access this particular service and perform this particular operation. So, for example, if you take a database, you can read, write, or list or whatever, right? Uh, so I will say principal as, let's say, role one, or user one, or EC2 instances is my principal. EC2 instances are allowed to perform read operation in database. So this is how the policy will look like. So this policy is one statement. Like this, you can have multiple statements, and you can combine all the statements and put it into a particular role. And then you can assign that role to a user or to a group. Understood? Any questions? Anything not clear here? I'll show that in the screen. Yes, Panu, you
Prem,
have any questions?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that policy could be assigned to either group or role, you mean to say, right?
No,
Oh,
policy is the lowest level. Okay, it is
okay,
just telling you it is a policy. A policy is nothing but A is allowed to read file from or data from this table. Okay, so
okay,
that is the policy, one line policy.
okay,
That can be another policy that says A is denied to read file from this database. Okay, so
okay,
there can be policy like that. These two policies can be attached to a role.
okay,
Okay,
okay.
so that role will in turn be attached to a user. Not
Yeah.
only this role, there can be multiple roles.
Mm,
Okay, so a policy only governs a specific resource. Okay,
okay.
a policy only governs a specific resource, who can
Yes.
access what. Okay, a role can have multiple policies, which means that multiple resources, policies for multiple resources can be assigned to one role. Okay, once you have created a role, you can use this role and multiple other roles for users and groups.
Okay. Prem.
Okay, so that is
That,
the step-by-step hierarchy of
yeah,
providing access.
yeah. So one policy should be for one resource. So
Correct.
the resource will create a policy. Right.
Yes, I will show that. So let's say this user is given only the policy IAM user change password. Because this user had to change the password, it automatically provided this. Okay, and it is AWS managed. I will tell you about that. So if you see what is inside the policy, this is how it will be. So what it is saying, it is a version statement. It's a JSON. Okay, it says allow is the effect. It is going to allow the user to change password. What is the resource? The resource is IAM. In that IAM, for this particular user, when it says star, in IAM for the user, this is the username. It is not going to allow change password for any other user. Okay, so for this particular user, what is the action? Another statement: get the account policy, password policy. So these are the two statements available in this policy. Okay, so with this, the user only can change the password. He cannot do any other operation. Okay, well, so if I want to allow this user to access a service, let's say any service you can take. Okay, what I can do is I can go ahead and add permission here. Okay, so let's say I will do that. So either I can, as I said, if I have created policies and attached to a group, I can just assign that user to that group so that he will get access from the group, or I can attach a policy directly from here. So these are all the policies that you have. You can see there are policies for different services, different levels of services. Let us see for let's say Lambda or EC2. Okay, if EC2, you see these many different roles are available. Policies are available. So this EC2 full access gives anybody assuming this policy to have full access on the EC2, any EC2 instance. They can purchase EC2 instances, they can run EC2 instances, they can terminate, they can auto scale, they can do anything they want. So you see, if you expand that, you can see all the things are given with a star on the resource and all services corresponding to EC2 instances. So it gives, it allows all operations possible in EC2 instances. But there is also a read-only access. So if you see that policy, it will specifically list out what are all the read-only operations for which the user can do. So only that. So it is described means it is getting details about it. Read is described there. Listing, getting metrics, and describing about that instance. So you can only know about a particular EC2 instance. You will not be able to create one. You will not be able to terminate one. You will not be able to do anything on that. Okay, so that is, these are all AWS managed. AWS has already created these policies for you. For each service, they have created a number of granular policies which you can just go ahead and assign. Otherwise, you can create your own policy as well. So that we will see in the permission policy step. Okay, so if I let's and then you roles, as I said, you can for example, if you see here, there are already these many roles available. This is not, I created this role. Okay, yes, 3 read only role. So if I create this role, I will be attaching a simple policy to that, and then that role I can assign to a user. Okay, so let's say this has this policy. This is, I created this customer management means I created this policy in line. Okay, I will first show how to create that. You see policies here. So in the policies, you have, already there are 1118 policies already created by AWS. I can also create my own custom policy. I can go ahead here, and I can select for which service I want to create this policy. So let's say I will do for Lambda functions. In Lambda functions, what is allowed? So whether, in list there are so many list operations. Read, there are so many different read operations. Write, there are so many write operations. Let's say I just give only all read operations. Okay, it automatically takes that. And so to which specific resource do you want to specifically control it to, any specific, or all resources? I will just say all, which says the wildcard may be overly permissive. allowing specific ARNs for these services can improve security. It is already telling, don't give all, you give to a specific one. Okay, whether if it is going to be a function or anything, you can specify that's here, whichever is specific. Okay, so for now, let's for simplicity go with all. And you can also add conditions, that the condition can be like whoever is assuming this role or this policy, they should have a specific tag attached to them. Okay, if you give that kind of conditions, even though you are assigning a role or a policy to a person, they will not be able to do that unless they meet the condition. The condition may be anything. The condition may say the request should come from this region, or the request should come from this account. The request should come only from this particular VPC. Okay, VPC and all people see that. There can be many conditions that you can put. Only if the condition is met, then the policy is active. Otherwise, the policy is inactive for the user who is assigned. So I can create this. I can provide a name. So this will appear as a policy in my read only custom lambda. Okay. So this is says full read access. I don't need to give anything here, and I create a policy. This policy is created. Okay, that will now appear here. You can see, you can filter by customer managed. So whatever I created, that will appear here as customer managed. These are all the ones I created. So you can see that read only custom lambda. So this is available, uh, and this is only a policy. It is not assigned to anybody. Okay, so if I assign this policy to somebody, then that will appear. Let's assign that to somebody, and before that we will just see what is the what how does it look like. So if you see JSON, so this is how it is going to look like in actual JSON. So allow action, all actions are included, and resources is for all. Okay. So now if I go and let's take this role, right? S3 read only role is a role I created, but if I want to attach another policy to it, let's say search add functions, attach policy, and I attach the customer managed policy, and this is what I want to add. I'm adding it. So if I add these two policies are now attached to this role, right? S3 read only, but I have S3 plus lambda as roles. This is only a name. Okay, so now I can use this role for a user. I can go ahead and say that the demo user is going to assume the role of uh, okay. So where can I assign the role? I think the role I cannot assign here. I have to do that uh, uh, through programmatic way only, assign the role. I don't think I can add here. I can only add permissions here for the user. Okay. So groups, I can create a group and say read only group. It is giving me you already have these users. Do you want to add any user? Let's say I will use this demo user. Do you want to attach any policies to these people or this group? I can go ahead and let's say if I select this administrator access, then it is going to, even though, okay, I'll give that, create that. Now I have added created a group, added permission for this group, that anybody in this group is going to be an administrator, right? I have added the read only person to this group. obviously this person has got access to all administrator thing. Okay, if I go to this user, demo user, sorry, and see their policy, their specific policies here. See, you can see administrator access is available. How this is available? This is assigned via the group, because the group, read-only group, is allowed administrator access. So this user has got administrator access. So you have to be careful on where you are assigning a person, what, you know, what, whether that group is having specific permissions that this person should not have. Then you should be very careful on that. Okay, so you may be getting a question that you have created a user, assigned specific permissions, uh, uh, but the user was able to access other things. What could be the reason? One option could be, the user is assigned to a particular group which already has that access. Okay, so you should know how you are going to, how your access provisioning is going to change when you assign roles or assign policies or assign users to groups. Understand, right? Okay, I think we are on top of the hour. We'll stop here. I would like to check if you have any questions. Uh, and I want you guys to go ahead and play around with these things: users, roles, policies, how to assign, and see what you are seeing. Okay, then we will continue from there.
So, Prem, I have some questions on it.
Mhm.
So, this is the thing. You creating in a user is unless until without mapping in a role and policy will not make sense, right? So, I'm just
Correct.
creating in a role. So, for example, there is a number of policies, as you said, we can able to create a policy as well as thousands of policies has been already there. That policy is directly mapped to the role. That role will be mapped to the user. So, and that user may having in a into in a some groups based on we created. For example, there is a two different users I have added in the group, and then the group have some policies. Okay, so this they're having a two different roles, having a different policies, and the group also having a different policies. So, do we have any controversy on that? For example, the role one having an only read only access, but the group having an all access for that. So, in that group, if we added the read only person, the role will having an all access as well, right? Because that role has been added to that group.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So even though you wanted this person to be read only on a specific resource, you have added this person to a group which allows more accesses.
Oh,
So obviously that person will get it. Okay. So the person is not restricted to what is assigned. So for that person, two different policies are assigned. In this here itself, you can
yeah,
see
you show that,
two
right?
different things are assigned. One is assigned directly when when you created that user,
Mm,
but this is assigned when you attached that user to that group. So automatically he got this because he was added to that group. So you have to be careful in adding people to specific groups. So you should be creating groups accordingly so that you will have only people who should be there.
okay. So one more thing is um, for creating an Amazon sign up, we need a credit card mandatory.
Yes, you
Okay,
must have. Yeah.
okay,
Credit or debit, I don't know, but you need to give some card details.
okay.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys?
So, Prem, one more thing. There is a, you said thousands of policies, right? So, really, if the real time, if the user have to use this AWS, they know what is that policy mean, right? So, because then only they can able to tag that policy to the particular role.
Correct. So I mean, it will be very, you know, easy to understand. It will tell you what access it is giving. If you are able to understand the access, it is just all statements. Okay, either allow or deny. Allow what, deny what.
Okay.
Okay, the name will be self-explanatory only. So if you know the services, you will be able to relate the corresponding policies. So that's all for today. So please go ahead and try it out and come back with any questions. Probably we'll meet next week.